Hi Johnston Artists, how are you? My name is Mrs. Hewitt. I'm the art teacher at Wallace and I want to welcome you to my art studio. Today we're actually going to be creating in a different way. We are going to be creating digital photography or working with digital photography. It's just the idea of creating a photo. Now you probably do that all the time with your phone or your iPad or whatever device you have. But I'm really going to work on, let's see if we can enhance your photographs or your pictures to look more like digital art or photography. Even with the thought of, you're fifth graders. Moving forward, you probably, or some of you may not ever take an art class again, which makes me sad as your art teacher, but I understand that that's kind of the reality. So my hope is that your lesson today can help you develop a better Instagram page, or your TikTok videos just end up that much better. Or when you become older and you're photographing the people in your life or the things around you, your vacations, your photographs are worthy of hanging on a wall. So let me teach you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years as I was an artist that actually worked for a photographer for a while. So let's get started. So it's work time. What you're going to do is participate in what I call a selfie challenge. You're actually going to get up during instruction today and you are going to take 2 selfies. Now, here's how it works. You're gonna go stand in front of a window. The first picture you're going to take facing the window. You're gonna step back, take a picture with your iPad or a phone, whatever you have. Then you're gonna turn yourself around. You're going to make it so your back is to the window. Take another picture, and then you're gonna come back and check in with me. Now, pause the video, go do your challenge. No, really. Go do it. See you in a minute. All right, now that you've done the selfie challenge, you should have one picture with you facing a window and one with your back to it. It probably looks something like this. Here is me standing in front of my window. You notice that you can see the details of my face. You can see all my face lit up as well as my background. So you need to make sure that you give your subject enough light. Now, if I turn myself around, I'm now facing or putting my back to the window, and you notice that everything starts to haze out. Right now, you can't really see the clearness of my face. You also can't see anything in the background. If I focus on the background, so I've touched that background space, now what's happened is I can see the background, but I'm completely blacked out. One of the things you need to do is make sure that you always give your subject enough light so that you can see the details around you. You can see the details behind you. Let me click on my face. There we go, where you can actually see your subject. All right, so you notice that I left my art studio. Where I am right now is my son's play area. I noticed that I found some inspiration here today, not only because there is amazing light in this space, but there's also amazing possibility for some really great photographs, because I noticed that the light was reflecting and casting shadows on some of his toys in a really neat way. My very favorite light is the sun. It's called natural light. It creates wonderful cast shadows. It has a softness at certain times of the day, and it just does some really amazing things, dancing through the trees and casting shadows. So let me show you what I found inspiration in today. My son right now is 3 years old and is obsessed with his cars. What he does is he takes his cars and he lines them up in rows, mostly his orange cars for whatever reason, probably because we have like 1 million orange cars. And what I did was I placed him in the light and I started to look at the way that some of these cars reflected the light. If you look here, you can see that there are highlights along these spaces. I also see down here that they are casting shadows. This is a great way to add more dimension to your artwork. Then what I do is I think about what position could I look from in order to take that photograph. This is where I take tons and tons of pictures in one setting. So I might get really close to some of my work. I might get really far up. But I try to find a new and interesting way to look at something that I've been looking at forever. Allow me to introduce you to the magic time as a photographer. It's called the golden hour. It is the hour just after sunrise and the hour just before sunset where the sun starts to lower on the horizon line. What happens is the light starts to switch into this golden tone that is amazing and beautiful. It illuminates everything from hair to the leaves on the trees or flowers that you see. It makes amazing, amazing photographs. Now, do you remember how earlier I said, don't let the sun be behind you or the light source? Break that rule in this hour. You can take the sun and it helps illuminate everything around you if you actually put it behind you. Enjoy your hour if you get out during that golden time. All right, so So tip number one in photography is lighting. It is so critically important to have the right lighting in your frame. Now the second one is something called composition. Composition is the idea of how do you fill your frame? Are you really close up to your subject? Are you really, really far away and taking it from a landscape perspective? Are you standing up above to take your picture? Are you getting down on your stomach and taking it from the viewpoint of what a worm or a bug would see? Composition is so important to creating really great photographs. Now, one of the most dynamic and interesting ways is something called the rule of thirds.
Let's talk the rule of thirds. How it works is you actually divide your frame, your photographic frame, into 3 parts, vertically and horizontally. Where those 2 lines intersect is where you want to create or put your focal point or whatever you're photographing. As you see here with my son Beckett, I have put his face where those 2 lines intersect, and I also use that vertical right line to create or place his body. The great thing about an iPad or an iPhone is you can actually even set your camera view to have the rule of third grid in it to kind of make it so it's almost a guide for you. Let me show you how you can do that. When you get into your iPad or your iPhone, you're going to click on Settings. You're going to search through the left-hand side until you can find Camera. Once you find your camera, you're going to click on it and notice that you have the word grid. Make sure that that's switched or turned on. Then you're going to head into your camera. Open up the camera and you're going to notice that you have the rule of thirds grid placed in your camera frame. Line up whatever subject you want to take, and you can find that each time you have a perfectly placed rule of thirds picture. Now, let's also think about your viewpoint. You don't always have to take a picture from a normal view as we see it in the world. What if you take an unexpected viewpoint? It's going to create more interest for the viewer. You might get down on your belly and take a picture of your dog, or get up high in a tree, or get on a balcony and take a picture of someone. You might look at something from underneath, as in this basketball hoop, or even get down so low that you see a flower from a different viewpoint. You might look at something through a reflection, or get super close to something that it crops in and creates a completely different viewpoint that somebody hasn't even ever thought about before. Now, let's start talking about photographing memories. You have an experience unlike anybody else. Truly, you do. Even the people in your home don't see things necessarily the way you do. What I want you to do with this assignment is to document your view, your memories, your life, your experiences, and maybe even some of your very favorite things. This work is done by a friend of mine named Sarah Dirks. She lives in the city of Chicago, and she has been documenting all of her memories and experiences as she goes through quarantine. She lives by herself, so a lot of her experiences are her solo on her journey. She ventures out into the city of Chicago with her face mask on and takes pictures of things like puddles and fence posts and flowers that she sees. And the thing that I love about her work, besides the fact that she takes pictures of things that people normally take for granted, is the fact that she almost always uses the rule of thirds. Or she gives a really unexpected view of looking down at flowers that she just planted and shows her feet standing in front of them. Here's an added bonus if you'd like to continue your thought. You can take the 31-day photo challenge. Each day you have a different prompt, from music to close-ups to the moon and what you see in your daily life. You can choose to do these in 31 days, you can choose to do bits and pieces of them, or you can spread it out over a lifetime. Now, let's talk about editing. It's the last and final piece of your journey. Here are some things and ways that you can edit in on your iPad. As you see, I took a bunch of pictures. I'm going to go into edit. Once I hit edit, it starts to load my photo, and I'm going to see different objects or different images or prompts on the left and the right. I just clicked into some of the filters that you can use. Those are almost the quickest and easiest way to do everything from silver tone black and white to just a nice, bright, bold color. If you click into the 3 little circles, the circle with the dots around it, you can find everything from exposure to brilliance. You can change things into black and white, where you can add even more saturation, which is going to add more brightness of color or fade it down into almost close to a black and white. You can create shadows or lighten and darken shadows. Here's your saturation. The idea is that you are creating a unique view and attempting to give the most interesting view possible. You can also switch the crop by exploring in changing it to square or rectangle or a certain proportion. I like the original square that I had, so I kept that. Eventually, you're going to want to hit done, and your photo will load, and then you have something that you can upload to Seesaw for your teacher.
All right, now you have the fundamentals. The one tip, the biggest tip that I have is don't be afraid to like click 1,000 photographs. The reason I say that is because sometimes 1,000 clicks equals one keep-worthy photograph. So click, keep clicking, click again until you get that right shot. So 2 things that you need. Think about lighting, think about your composition, along with being willing to click, get on the ground, roll around, get up high, climb a tree. You have everything you need in order to create Instagram-worthy, amazing, stellar photographs. Good luck. Enjoy your creation time. I hope that you use these tips and tricks for the rest of your life. I love you all, or the ones that I know, but I love you guys all. Go Dragons. See you soon. Ooh, and don't forget to share on Seesaw. Bye, guys.